This podcast is sponsored by StockPick. Most investment information is delivered through a dense, convoluted website. StockPick is the only investor-focused mobile app that serves world-class news and insights through short, engaging videos similar to TikTok or YouTube. Every week, you'll get 15 or more stock tips from Wall Street pros, plus their team shares daily buy-sell recommendations from the world's top brokerages. Make sure to try StockPick today on a 14-day free trial using our link in the description below. Now back to the episode.
Class is now in session.
Welcome back to episode 11 of the 9 Degrees podcast, the number one non-educational, education-themed podcast in the world. We may have 9 degrees among us, but we still don't know much about anything. We will keep you informed about the most interesting current events in the world, but make sure you use your own fact checker because we never do. As always, I'm your boy Jerome. We got Maddox, we got Jackson, we got Jared back for another week. Remember, you can catch the audio version of this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you find podcasts. And if you're an audio listener and you want to watch the video version, look for that on youtube.com/Jerome Vaz. Follow us on all socials at 9 Degrees Pod on everything. Class is now in session with Homeroom. This is our weekly segment where we catch up on life, our gripes, or just have general pleasantries. What's up, boys? What's going on with this week? How's life?
It's going along. It's pretty good.
Good. I've got a gripe for you this week. We just had Amazon Prime Day. Did anyone buy anything for Prime Day?
Oh, I completely missed that.
I got
Maddox,
something funny.
Go ahead.
Don't overspend. Don't overspend.
So
Don't get caught in sales.
It was Prime Day. I've been purchasing a lot of car detailing products for my new endeavor, and there's some upgrades I wanted to make. I had in the back of my head I needed to upgrade some equipment, and so I was like, okay, Prime Day, perfect day to do it. So I fill my cart up with 14 things. And then my fiance is like, oh, I got a few pieces of clothes that I need to get or something. And she throws them in there. And so we got this cart full of stuff on Amazon and I order it. And then the next day I'm scrolling through there and I think 2 out of 17 things actually had the Prime Day discount on them. Most of the things weren't even actually discounted.
You just bought a bunch of random Amazon shit is what you're saying.
Right, yeah, they swindled me. I imagine that's what they anticipate happening.
I'm so glad that you brought this up because that's exactly my gripe. Is first off, the deals are worse and worse every single year. Most of the products that have deals are things that you wouldn't want to buy anyway. Also, I keep seeing all this stuff off the internet. There's this website called Camel, which essentially is just an Amazon price tracker, historical price tracker, and it literally showed how most Amazon Prime Day retailers, they basically just have something at a certain price for 364 days out of the year. The day before Prime, or 2 days, maybe the week before, they spike the price up. It'll sit at this new higher tier price for a week. And then on Prime Day, they just bring it back to their always advertised price, but it's got the little symbol that says it's 40% off or whatever. So you think you're getting a good deal. You could get that deal any day of the week.
Sneaky.
I know. And that's my gripe with Prime. Amazon, go f yourself. That's what I got to say.
Damn, you're coming out with shots.
I mean, that's a little harsh, but it is. I mean, if you go on Amazon, it does you do see the discount things a lot. I almost feel like people just raise the price and then drop it back down just to show that it's 40% off, like you were saying, or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah, confirm.
So that's my gripe. Maddox, what's going on? What's going on in your life this week?
So I've got a real estate story. My real estate stories haven't hit with you guys in the past, but I'm gonna try one more time here. So I was out at one of our clients' properties that we're selling, and they have already moved out, so it's a just dead empty house. And I'm waiting on a service person to come. So they give you a time range when they're going to be there. So this place is out at the lake. There's my cell phone service provider does not have hardly any service there. They've already moved out. The Wi-Fi is not working. So I'm just in this empty house on the lake by myself for a period of a couple hours. And my phone doesn't work because I don't have Wi-Fi, don't have cell phone service. And so what do you do? What do you do in that situation? I did some yoga.
Oh my God. What?
I sat by the lake. I ran up and down the stairs, got some exercise.
Wait, I'm confused.
For
Why
how
didn't you
long?
leave? Why didn't you go home?
I had to wait
You
for the
can't.
service person to show up.
Oh.
They give you a range of time. I had to be there. Someone had to be there.
See, this is what I do. I have no Wi-Fi games on my phone.
Like on the airplane you play this game?
Yeah.
Well, so that's like you've taken your addiction to the next level.
Yeah, you're
But that
right,
was
absolutely.
that was my thought. I was like, it was like a realization, like how being connected all the time. Like if when I'm not connected, I just like chose to do these like good things for myself. Like
Yeah.
I felt great. You
Yeah.
know? Like felt limber and like well exercised, like soaked in some sun by the
Yeah.
lake. Like
You could have
And
like sat in your car and listened to some music or something.
I mean, yeah, I guess I could have. It's like
Could have brought a book.
you're missing the point. You're trying to figure out all the ways that I could have like done the things that I didn't do.
Would you argue that your real estate story is not hitting with us?
Yeah, I would argue that.
I'm here for
I'm
it.
saying
I'm here for
it
it.
didn't really have much to do with real estate. I think that was pretty
Well, it's just
incidental
like
to the
it's just
story.
like these weird situations that being a realtor puts you like. It just you get put in these weird situations sometimes. But I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you think our health overall would be better if like we just didn't have so many distractions around us
Yeah.
all the time?
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
All right, that's all I need to hear. Move on.
I don't know. I personally think I like my internet access.
No, but the
I
question is
enjoy-
specifically, would your health be better?
Yes,
I mean,
I like it too.
I don't know.
We all like it. That's the problem.
without the internet, do we have all of our medical advances? Maybe. I'm
Without,
not sure.
Fair.
Yeah.
without the internet, how do I know what exercise I'm supposed to do, Maddox? How do I know how many calories I'm burning?
My app
Yeah,
didn't tell me to.
Yeah,
just to run up
exactly.
and down the stairs.
Exactly.
I always look up, leg day exercises before I go to the gym on
Yeah.
my phone.
Do you do them?
I do them, yes.
Okay.
He said doo-doo. Anyway, going back to my previous suggestion of you should be listening to music, let's jump right into first period with your favorite professor out of the four of us, me, Jerome.
Arguable.
I suggested you should listen to music because you could have been listening to The Death of Slim Shady that entire time. Eminem's newest album just got announced that he is going to dethrone one Mrs. Taylor Swift. She's been on the Billboard 200 top chart for 11 weeks straight. And who comes
And
in?
apparently she's married because Mrs. Taylor Swift.
Okay. Apologies. One Miss Taylor Swift came through 11 weeks on the charts with her Tortured Poet Society or whatever. I think arguably like by critical, or by critics, like her worst album to date, but it spent 11 weeks as number one on the Billboard Top 200. And of course, who has to come in and defeat the big bad Mrs. Wolf? Eminem. With the Death of Slim Shady, 281,000 album equivalent units sold, I guess, in the first week or whatever. So his album, 11th consecutive Billboard 200 number one. The only one that has not been a Billboard 200 number one was his first debut album under Interscope Records, the Slim Shady LP. And as homework, you guys listen to the album, and I want to know your thoughts.
Should I start?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so I listened to it during my commute from Knoxville to Chattanooga. I took some notes, so I'm gonna read my notes.
I want to know.
While you were driving?
No, Siri took the notes for me.
Okay.
Oh, now my Siri is turning on. So the first thing I wrote was, I feel like I am listening to the Luigi's Mansion soundtrack. I don't know if anyone can relate to that one, but if not, you need to go play Luigi's Mansion.
Was there a particular song?
The whole thing. It's all like dark and eerie and spooky sounding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
like
know,
Luigi's
'cause
Mansion.
it's a funeral, bro. Slim Shady
I know.
just died.
Same vibes as Luigi's Mansion.
Okay.
Do you know
what
Luigi's
else?
Mansion?
Yeah.
I remember
like-
playing it back in the day. But it's been a minute.
Well, the new one, it's like Ghostbusters, and you're like sucking up ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, my favorite line of the whole album was, "I'm trying to get some head up in this Subaru."
That's it.
That's
that's a good line.
That's the tweet.
That's
I love it.
hilarious.
That's a good
Akon's out
line.
here in his Lamborghini Gallardo, and Eminem is driving around in his Subaru Outback. Like, really though, what Subaru is he referring to?
Mans has made $150 million off a rap, but still drives a Subaru.
I mean, I'm here for it. I love Subarus, but
That's great. That's great.
I just thought I didn't expect a high class rapper to be talking about a Subaru.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings, I guess.
Exactly.
My favorite songs were Road Rage, mostly because I was driving while I was listening to it, rowing through some gears. I resonated with that one.
You know, that song was half of that song was making fun of fat people for how obese they were.
Well, I missed that part, but
okay. Go ahead.
Somebody Save Me.
Ooh, that one was good. That's the very last song on the album with Jelly Roll, right?
Jelly Roll, baby. I didn't even know it was Jelly Roll. I just thought that one sounded like the most like emotional. Like,
yeah, for sure. It's a song to his daughters for when he dies, essentially.
Yeah. So I like that one. And then Brand New Dance. I thought
that's my favorite. I have thoughts about that one.
That one was like the most nostalgic to me, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I have a fun fact about that one. I'll just get into it right now. The fun fact is supposedly that song was supposed to be called Christopher Reeves. It was supposed to come out on 2004's Encore, but in 2004, Christopher Reeves passed away, and so they cut the song from the album. And supposedly for this, he went back into the vault, pulled it out, and just released it. However, I haven't heard anyone on the internet talk about this yet, but I will talk about it. People were saying he just pulled it out of the vault and just re-recorded maybe like some of the ad libs and like upped the production a little bit and then just released the song as is. In one of the verses, he talks about Caitlyn Jenner on that song, which Caitlyn Jenner did not come out until 2015. So if this song came out of the vault in 2004, he obviously re-recorded some of the verses, which is crazy to me because the sound of the voice, that like classic Slim Shady voice, still sounds like 2004 Slim Shady voice, meaning there's a lot of like production that went onto his voice to make him sound like that, which I thought was just an interesting tidbit. I know none of this to be true or not, but it's my assumption, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it.
Bit of an Easter egg, I'd say.
Exactly. For the hardcore fans. Like
yeah.
Me.
That's cool though. That's all I had. That was
okay.
That was as much effort I could conjure into my listening of the Slim Shady album.
Jared, what were your thoughts?
Well, yeah. So first of all, like any good student, I only did half my homework. I didn't listen to the entire album.
Okay.
But in a weird, like in like kind of a weird way, I just like I went out and like went on a walk and listened to it. So I got Luigi's Mansion on like a beautiful like 85 to like 90 degree day, and I literally went and like sat at a park like over like the Inner Harbor and just like listened to it, and I thought it was great. I thought the song that he like did to like his daughter was like really emotional.
Yeah.
So I like that one. I like the Christopher Reeves one.
Yeah.
I mean, every song that there were a couple where it was like, all right, like I'm not necessarily vibing with this, but I thought across the board, like it was good. And I will say you had made this comment going into it of like, he still has it from like a lyricist perspective.
Right.
Like there were some lines that I usually can't follow like as like the first time I listened through. And there were some times where it actually like make me like laugh when I was just sitting there listening to it. So again, I'll go do my due diligence, get all the way through it. But first pass, I thought it was good. I thought it was really good.
Hell yeah. Dude, sometimes I think he's mastered the art of the double entendre or triple entendre.
Yeah.
There's so many in this album, and like when you catch it for the first time, and there's still ones that I'm still catching, it just makes you smile because you're like, oh, I understand the double meaning to this.
Yeah, and I think you helped because some of the ones that you had pointed out before, I like heard it as it was going through, and so it like within the context of the whole thing, it made it better. So
yeah, and okay, I don't want to beat a dead horse too long, but I do have some other thoughts, because. Yeah, let me just get into it. And because Jared and I had this conversation earlier over the weekend, I don't necessarily want to get into the etymology or the history of the words that he is saying. I just want to think big picture here. Okay. But anyway, there's a lot of scrutiny on the internet especially from younger people, younger Gen Z, millennial, for his language. Obviously, very vulgar. obviously using lots of words that are not politically correct to use anymore in today's day and age. But a couple things. One, on the album, or sorry, on the song Guilty Conscience 2, which is essentially the one that is Marshall versus Slim Shady, right? They're going back and forth about Marshall's essentially telling him, like, it's time for you to go away. Like, the things that you're saying they're not okay to say anymore. And like, you need to be locked up, go away. And Slim is coming back to him saying like, no, you've gotten soft. Remember, like, I made you. And in one of the lines, he specifically says, Slim Shady says, let's see. I gave you the power to use me as an excuse to be evil. You created me to say everything you didn't have the balls to say. Which is, so the idea of this like creation of the alter ego, right? This satirical alter ego. We have always known Slim Shady to be an alter ego of Eminem. That is this crazy character that says anything and everything, right? But for some reason, society, specifically younger people, Gen Z, are always very quick to say, oh, we got to cancel Eminem because he's saying all this like crazy, wild, outlandish shit. Here is my argument. One, why can we not understand satire in music, in that specific art form, right? And my argument is, you take film, you take TV, take a TV show like The Boys, for example, right? The character of Homelander, I don't know if you guys watch The Boys, but is a very outlandishly vulgar and terrible character, objectively. However, what about the actor behind the character? Do we say, cancel that actor for playing that character? Or do we say, wow, give this guy praise because he's able to play that character so well, this like violent, vulgar character, he can play it so well. Then all of a sudden you change the medium of art from TV and film to music, and now that doesn't translate for some reason. And I do think Eminem's like created himself. Like, it's hard to claim an alter ego when you go out in public and you also like are doing all these like public concerts and whatever as the persona of Slim Shady. But in my opinion, kind of high level, it is a character. It was always meant to be a character, but people are so quick to scrutinize him, And as a follow-up to that, on the second song on the album, the song Habits, he specifically says, so all of my statements are basically contradictive, like using the F word for gay is wrong and offensive, and insensitive, as if me saying the R word isn't. Wait a minute, which R word? I'm gonna have to cut this part.
You can't say the next part. Wait, just go listen to the album.
But then he says, would this rhyme be okay if South Park had did it? Would it make you less angry if Cartman had spit it? Which, I don't really watch South Park like that, but I do think he's spitting bars there, because I think South Park is like a cultural phenomenon. And again, same as my previous argument with The Boys, it is very vulgar. And it says whatever the fuck it wants to say, and people love that show. So literally to what he's saying, if South Park says the F word for gay, or they say the other two words, the two R words he's talking about, would people be mad? Or would they just be like, it's South Park, that's funny, they're making a joke? You know what I'm saying?
I think this is a really interesting, like, dynamic, and I don't know what the right answer is, but it's like there is this. It seems like there is this level where it's acceptable,
right?
And it's like, where does that threshold?
Yeah,
like there's some comedian. This is what I always think about comedians that make like 9/11 jokes or that type of thing, and for a really established comedian, like, that's fair game. But if you're just a guy that's starting out trying to be funny, like, it's like, come on, dude, like, no, like, you can't.
Right.
Like, Jerome, sometimes you do that. Like,
you're right. You're right. You're right. Got to cut that.
So, but like, what is that? Where is that line? When do you like get into that? Like, when do you rise to that level where it's like, okay, but I don't know. I was kind of surprised when you said that I didn't know that people were giving him flack about this album. I don't know. I figured everyone was going to be okay with it.
The other two examples you gave, The Boys and South Park, those two, I think, if you take Homelander, if you take Eric Cartman from South Park, those two are very over the top like satirical characters, and the things that they do and represent are, I think, very over the top, not very subtle, like bad, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, I think that's kind of when people think about this sort of discourse, it's like, if you're not being over the top, then it's either you're completely over the top and like, oh, it's obviously satire, or if you're not that, like Eminem, you're like, oh, well, actually, we don't really know. Maybe he actually is really like that.
Yeah, like it blurs the lines a little too much.
And then that narrative transforms into he is actually like that. So,
right. Right. And I think that makes sense. I also think it makes sense if you were to say, like, maybe we do have to view different forms of art, like, from different lenses. Like, maybe that just is what it is. And if that's the case, like, yeah, it is what it is. Well, I don't know why I'm trying to come to the defense of a man that is literally the most successful rapper of all time. But
he's got like
just things that I was thinking about.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, do you think that people in general struggle? Because you used comedians, but like Dave Chappelle had that one line where he was like, I can't say something serious without you like thinking it's a joke. So like do you think like, and this is kind of maybe in the theme with like Gambino's like run coming to an end.
Yeah.
Of like, do you think people struggle more with like art forms that are like clearly not like necessarily like fake, but like acting, like you're coming to the table telling people what you're about to see is not indicative of reality. But like as a comedian or as like a musical artist, like part of your job is literally to bring something to the table that people don't see in whatever way that you're about to show it to them. So do you think like having a character in those kind of like art forms, people struggle with that in general? Because I would say more people know the name Childish Gambino than they do Donald Glover. And I think some people associate that whole character with who Donald Glover is. And if you listen to him do interviews, he's like, no, it's a character. It always has been. I'm trying to put it away. Do you think people struggle with that?
Probably, I would say so. And like I said, I think Eminem, even though in his eyes, like Slim Shady has always been this character, satirical character, I think in the eyes of the public, it's probably been blurred very heavily.
Like he is Shady.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're one and the same. But just some things that I was thinking about. I've got another one for you guys. Another celebrity thing to talk about. One Mr. Jake Paul. He was supposed to fight Mike Tyson in Dallas this past weekend, but ended up Mike Tyson pulled out, stomach ulcer. That fight has been delayed until November of this year. Still going to be the first live fight on Netflix.com. But instead, he fought Mike Perry, who is former UFC fighter, current bare knuckle fighting championship or whatever it's called, bare knuckle fighter. Jared and I watched this fight together, actually.
Yep.
Jared was a strong Mike Perry proponent. I was a strong Jake Paul proponent, and Jake Paul came out the victor. Mike, and I'm not even gonna lie, it wasn't even close. We watched the fight. Mike Perry got his ass rocked.
Man wouldn't even put his hands up. He literally never put his hands up.
Yeah, literally, it was crazy. But fans are complaining now that Mike Perry was so small compared to Jake Paul. Jared, what do you think? Do you think that's true?
He was smaller. Didn't they make a comment that like he barely came in at like 200 pounds? He definitely was like shorter and not as muscular as Jake, which is more of a credit to Jake than.
Here's my argument: is he signed the contract? You can't be like, oh, well, Mike Perry was smaller when he knew what he was supposed to come in weighing at.
Let's also like clear the table. Mike Perry's size was not the reason that he lost that fight. Mike Perry's fighting abilities were the reasons that he lost that fight.
And I even looked it up. The official weight, people are saying that he was so much smaller. The official weight that he came in at, Mike Perry, came in at 196.6, and Jake Paul came in at 200 even. It was less than 4 pound difference. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It looked huge.
Yeah.
Like the difference did. The actual difference was less than 4 pounds, which is insane. So Jake knocks him down 3 times within 6 rounds, gets a TKO. And now the other argument that people are making is, oh, Jake Paul's fighting all these fighters that are washed up and they're so old. And it's like, okay, so Jake Paul's 27. That's our age, a little bit younger than us. Mike Perry's 32. To be completely honest with you, that's not that crazy of a jump to be making. Also, I looked up some of the ages of some of these people that are like UFC champions right now. John Jones, right? Number 3 pound for pound fighter in the world is currently 37 years old. And he holds like a title, I'm pretty sure, right now. 8 of the top 10 pound per pound fighters in the UFC currently are over 30. The next one is Sean O'Malley, who's 29. So it's like, okay, can we stop making this argument that Jake Paul's fighting people that are too old? Like Mike Tyson, I get it. Man's 60 years old. Okay, sure. 32, that's not that crazy.
I think the whole Jake Paul conversation, it's difficult because like he's doing like right now, like I would say he's not like a world like class boxer. He's good. No. He's better than I think he's better than I thought he would be. But the problem I think right now is like he's doing the things that most people do unseen on like a huge public stage. So he's doing his like it's what he's fought like less than 15 fights, right?
Right. This was number 11, I think.
Right. So he's doing all of these like the fights that you do to like become a challenger potentially, but there's to give them credit regardless of how you feel about them, like the Paul brothers know how to like sell something even if it's of questionable quality, but they can still sell it. So like he's just been selling
AKA
himself.
Logan with his NFT that made like a stupid amount of money.
Right. Or their sports drink or their whatever. Yeah. So they know how to sell things. So like they're just making a ton of money off this stuff, and he's getting guys that he can beat and he's beating them. So it's like everybody's like, well, he's not really fighting anybody. And it's like, well, should he be fighting these guys? Because like, no, he's not. He's no like we saw Jerome. He's no Canelo Alvarez. He's no Triple G.
Right. He's not supposed to be fighting Ryan Garcia. He's not supposed to be fighting Tank Davis or Devin Haney or any of these guys. He should be fighting quote unquote amateur boxers.
Right. So he'll get there maybe, or he'll just make $100 million.
Yeah, I have one more funny point about this, and then we can move on to earn some lunch money. But so the bare knuckle like fighting competition is part owned by Conor McGregor, aka like Mike Perry, like works for Conor McGregor, kind of sorta. And after Perry lost to Jake Paul, Conor McGregor tweeted out that that Mike Perry was fired. And he is currently like one of the bare knuckle like champions. He's 5-0 in the company. And he was like, Mike Perry clearly like doesn't deserve to be in this league. Like he's fired, he's done. Then Mike Perry fired back and he was like, what the fuck? I'm also a part owner of bare knuckle. You can't just fire me. Like I'm here. And then hilariously, so Conor McGregor was supposed to make his like comeback since I think the last time he fought was like July 2021 and he lost. And he was supposed to come back a couple weeks ago, UFC 303, and the fight got canceled because he broke his tibia. And so Mike Perry was like, at least I'm fighting and not canceling fights because I hurt my toe. I just thought it's funny that these guys are like going back and forth about it. Meanwhile, Jake Paul's over here just raking in millions.
Think he broke his toe filming Roadhouse?
Maybe. But I also think Conor McGregor's washed. Like he's
old.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I got one final thing. I'll make it super quick. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about minimum wage and how many people make $15 an hour. Maddox, do you follow Unusual Whales?
I do. Well, I don't know. My Twitter is very weird. I should have put this in the gripes section. I forgot about this, but so my Twitter account, my OG Twitter account got hacked at some point, and someone was running like a crypto scam from it, or
oh shit,
just like one of those like spam accounts. It's like just tweets
I bought
at people.
Like $1,000 of that.
No, dude, come on.
I thought you bought 10,000.
No, I'm playing. Go ahead.
Anyway, and then I recovered. I just wasn't on Twitter for a long time, and then I recently tried to get back on and try to recover it, and it just says account suspended. And I've reached out to Twitter like probably 15 times now trying to recover it, and they just they're luck. Just ghosting me at this point.
Well, you must have done something super heinous to get your account suspended,
whoever hacked it did that.
That's
but now I can't even like, I want to like unleak the email address and just create a new one, and like I can't even do that. It's just dead.
So you just lost the handle. Like the @OtSauce is just gone.
It's not even the handle that I want. It's like the email address. Like I just want to be able to log into my Twitter with my primary email address. I don't want to have like a secondary one workaround.
I gotcha.
Anyway, sorry, off topic there.
Well,
But
no,
yes,
my point being,
Unusual Whale, I know the account.
yes. So we had a conversation a couple weeks ago about where I was talking about minimum wage people and how, they're struggling in this country. And you had made the comment saying, I don't actually know how many people are making less than $15 an hour. And I was like, I don't know about that. I feel like it's probably more than we think. I was wrong. I was very wrong. Just 13% of workers are earning less than $15 an hour.
Sounds about right.
That's crazy low to me. And apparently 2 years ago, that number was 32%. So just in the last 2 years, there's been a huge wage increase stride, I would assume, to compensate for inflation to where people are making more than $15 an hour.
Is minimum wage $15?
No, it's like $7.25 nationally still.
So that's not even really minimum. Like it's just like that's 13% of people make less than $15 an hour.
Right. Even more could be making more than
even
minimum
like
wage.
Less are making actual minimum wage.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, I was going to say 13% of people making minimum wage. That would sound kind of insane to me still.
But apparently it's even less. It's probably closer to like 7 or 8%.
Well, that was my point. I feel like it's not that many.
And I'm saying you were right.
I know. I appreciate it.
Take your win.
Unusual Whales.
Yeah.
For supporting my cause.
Hilariously, the one other thing I'll say is apparently another thing they tweeted was that Gen Zers are so disillusioned with the economy that they think it's okay to commit fraud. In Q4 2023, 42% of Gen Zers admitted a willingness to engage in first-party fraud just because the economy is so bad.
What's the definition of first-party fraud?
I don't know. Probably like insurance fraud or something, like faking like a car insurance thing. I don't know.
Dude, no way. That's 42%
of Gen Zers. That's crazy.
Gotta do what you gotta do to get ahead,
I agree. Okay, let's earn some lunch money real quick. This podcast is sponsored by StockPick. Most investment information is delivered through a dense, convoluted website. StockPick is the only investor-focused mobile app that serves world-class news and insights through short, engaging videos similar to TikTok or YouTube. Every week, you'll get 15 or more stock tips from Wall Street pros, plus their team shares daily buy-sell recommendations from the world's top brokerages. The type of information typically reserved for institutional investors. On top of that, StockPick offers great value for your money compared to alternatives like Seeking Alpha or The Motley Fool. The price points are far more accessible. It works out to just $1.50 a week versus up to $115 per week on some of those other platforms. Make sure to try StockPick today on a 14-day free trial using our link in the description below. Now back to the episode. All right, MADDOX, are you ready for second period with Professor MADDOX? Let's do it.
What is that?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Let's do it, baby. Let's go. All right. So I've been really trying to brainstorm some new segments that I can bring to my block to really educate my audience. But I couldn't really decide on just one. So my segment from here on out until I find which segment is it's going to be a segment where I try out different segments until I figure out which segment.
Well,
okay, I like it.
This is really like having your motivation be motivation.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I made this. I follow the markets a lot, so I made this little market tracker thing in Python.
Fancy. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I just thought we could just each episode go over what the markets are doing and see if there's any interesting moves happening out here. So this is just year-to-date returns of 10 different asset classes. These are the asset classes that I primarily follow, mostly just because they're the ones that are investable through ETFs. So year-to-date, top performer, obviously, Bitcoin at 52% almost. And then worst performer, TLT, which is long-term government bonds. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go through all of them.
Makes sense.
Just going to briefly go
through. Where's DJT?
DJT, it's not an asset class yet. I hear that they're working on that.
I hear that it's the best asset class. There's never been any asset class like it. That's not what he's saying either. That's what the SEC is saying.
I'm glad we're able to turn this into some humorous content because I felt like it's pretty dry, but
It's working. It's working.
So these are same asset classes, but since our last episode, so I thought that'd be a good way to just keep more like current tabs on things. So Bitcoin up 5% since last episode, and
Nice.
that's top performer. And then emerging market stocks are down about 2% since our last episode, which for reference was, what was that, like a week ago?
Yeah, a week
Our
ago was
last
our
episode.
recording.
So this is something interesting that I keep tabs on that I'm sure most people don't keep tabs on. But so this is the RPAR ETF and the H Fund ETF, HFND. So how I think about this is RPAR is the risk parity index, which is an investment style that tries to it's just buy and hold, passive investing, but tries to build a portfolio across kind of like all these different asset classes that is as balanced as possible. So it kind of represents just what is your return if you just buy and hold all the assets in the world in a balanced proportion. Like, what is that return? And then HFND is a relatively new ETF that tracks like the hedge fund index, essentially. So basically what you're looking like comparing here is like, is just passive buying and holding assets, how is it performing relative to like active management, like taking bets, like long or short?
And which one is which right now? The red is active positions.
Red is the active, the hedge fund index, and blue
Gotcha.
is the passive buy and hold index. So
This is going to play really well with our audio-only listeners, by the way.
Oh,
Good.
yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's why you should watch the YouTube video on youtube.com/JeromeVaz.
This is why we're trying out segments. Maybe this one's not gonna pass.
Jackson's just advocating for the people that he knows that are on the audio.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Jackson's dad.
Yeah. Well, I can try to convert this into
Audio.
Yeah,
We just have an audio waveform that plays over top of all of our voices. That's like
and
blue
you have
is
to
on top.
convert it into visual representations in your head. So yeah, since our last episode, they are basically the same. Down.
Oh, nice.
Down about a percentage. This is stock sectors. Year to date, tech is up 21%. I don't think anyone's surprised about that. And real estate is the laggard at a modest 3% return year to date.
Similar to what I said last week. Real estate over the last decade, 4.3%.
So here we have stock sector since the last episode. I think this is the most probably insightful one. We have tech down 3.5% and consumer staples up. Oh wait, that's real estate. Sorry. When I looked yesterday, it was consumer staples at the top. Anyway, Real estate's up 2%.
Like I said, real estate, great investment.
Can I jump in to ask a question? So it seems like the stock classes and sectors that are doing well in the short term are the ones that have been doing the worst year to date. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Well, one, that's just like a one short-term data point. I wouldn't like take that and be like, you can make an investment strategy off of that. Maybe you could test it. But yeah, I thought that the recent performance is interesting because it might suggest, I'm waiting for this rotation to happen. I think the tech outperformance has gone on way too long and there's a lot of overvaluation there. So I'm kind of waiting for that to come to an end and see a more secular change long-term away from that and into other stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that short-term performance is an indicator of that happening now. But again, it could last. It could just have been this week and next week, could continue on as normal. So
honestly, I didn't know that you could just write like a Python script and it seemed like
I
a
was
Google
just
interface.
thinking that.
Yeah.
I actually
I've
thought the
learned
most
that.
important part about what you just showed, most interesting for me, was the fact that you can track all that with the simple code you made in Python. And if you want to learn how to do that, make sure you come and join the classroom on Discord, link down below.
Sign up
and
for
you
the
can have
class.
a free one-on-one masterclass session with MADDOX on how that's done.
I don't know about that, but I do think it'd be. I mean, so that's Google Colab is what it's called, and yeah, it's like a super convenient way to write Python code. You literally just start it up like you would an Excel spreadsheet. There's not like a bunch of installing you have to do on your local computer and stuff. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Shout out Google Colab. We're looking for sponsors.
Yeah.
That would actually be sick if
That'd be
Google
an
Colab
insane
sponsored
Google
us.
Colab, ups,
That'd be a great collab.
chips.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That would be a good. But yeah, a quick reminder: if you like keeping up with the markets, to check out our affiliate sponsorship, StockPick.
Link down below.
Link down below. All right.
What else you got, Maddox?
On to my next attempt.
I thought that was a good segment.
I thought so
Okay,
too.
cool. We'll keep doing that one. We'll see how the audience likes it. I forgot about our audio listeners. I apologize.
Well, and also blind people that may be watching the YouTube video. You forgot about them too.
We try to be an inclusive podcast.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying.
So
As a white male that has a podcast, you got to be thinking about inclusivity all the time.
So as a self-employed individual, I'm always thinking about various ways to make money in this world, right? So
Just completely ignore what I said. That's fine. Go ahead.
For the blind people watching this, he is not a white male.
Yeah.
so this segment is called Potential Business Ideas That Might Actually Work.
I like this one. I think this could be a good segment. Go ahead.
I think the name needs some work, but
Okay, we'll
otherwise,
work on the name. The name can use some
I'm
refinement,
interested.
but so I'm always just like thinking things like, oh, you could do that, like that'd be. So this is one that it's actually someone is already doing it here very well, and I was gonna give them a shout out. But if you're in a different area that doesn't already have this service, I think this could be a really good opportunity. There's a company here in the Maryville, Knoxville area called Junk Galaxy, and it's kind of like Junk Be Gone.
Okay.
You know, like it's just a service where they come and pick up your trash or like your junk, like not like your trash, but like if you have like big things you have to get rid of. You know, like
What if I think that
appliances?
What if I think that like my kids are big trash?
Well, I don't know. I hope they have some type of restrictions on the type of stuff you can dump with them.
I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Anyway, we lots of times get in situations where like we need to just like people are moving out and we need to get this stuff out of the house before the buyers move in, but like what do we do with this massive deep freezer or something like that?
Yeah.
There's this company called Junk Galaxy that we've been using for a couple months now, and they are just like young guys, like a couple young guys show up and they just have like a truck, like a big garbage. It's kind of like a garbage type truck, but they just come and they come very promptly, like usually within an hour or two or, you know, same day at least. And it's just like two guys in a truck and they just take your stuff and you pay them like $150. And
Two guys in a truck. That's a great business name.
They already have that. That is a business.
That's the whole point. That's the whole. It's literally the entire point.
if you're like a young entrepreneur, I think that could be I think that'd be like an easy, like low barrier to entry idea. You just got to buy a truck.
Wait, can we workshop this idea? Because I have an idea to add on to this idea.
Is it a good idea, or are you just going to make fun of me?
I'm being serious.
Again?
No. I have a good idea. So you go and collect people's junk, right? But then you resell it to other people on like Craigslist.
Yeah.
Mystery box.
Oh, well, I don't know about mystery box. But
it's just they just get like a box that's full of like air conditioner parts. And it's like, what are you going to do? But
well, I was going to say I don't know if they do this, but like part of it could be like whatever you're just taking stuff off people's hands. Like if you want to keep it and try to resell it, or if you know how to refurbish stuff, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I mostly just wanted to shout out Junk Galaxy because they've kind of saved our lives in numerous instances here lately. So if you're in the local Maryville, Knoxville area and you got some junk to get rid of, give Junk Galaxy a call.
Junk Galaxy, sponsor us.
Nice. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Like, let's collaborate. We can do something cool.
Yeah.
Can I keep going here?
Yeah. It's your class. We're just sitting in it.
Well, those are all the really like the segments I had. So, but I got a few other things.
Go for
my
it.
bachelor party. We all drank the Z-Biotics, and we forgot to talk about it. What did you guys think?
Yeah.
Do you think it helped?
I think Jerome's got a good experience because he was a doubter the first day, and then he became a believer the second day. I did not have a hangover when I only took it the one day. I didn't have a hangover. Maybe I didn't drink as heavily as I usually did. I don't know. But I didn't have a hangover, so just from that, I'd be sold. I don't know if I would spend the amount of money that you have to spend on it to...
Well, that's
it's not that expensive, right?
It's like 10 comes out to be like $10 for one of those vials. So if you're gonna have one every time you drink, you would be paying $10
half a drink. When you include
half
the
a
tip.
drink, dog. What kind of drinks you buy?
He's in DC.
I feel like cocktails cost
DC.
like $16, and then once you include tax and tip, like $20 a drink is not that crazy.
DC.
I'm gonna jump in and give my opinion. I'm not a drinker myself, but I'm somewhat of a scientist myself, like Norman Osborn from Spider-Man.
Sure.
If you know that meme. It's
no
a meme.
lies
You can
were
look it
told.
up.
No lies were told.
Whenever I hear of like products like that claim to do those things, my first question is always, show me the study. And so when I hear that, and I'm always like, well, you can't take your sort of personal anecdotal experience with that. I really think if you want to demonstrate that this actually has an effect on your hangover, you need to do it in a controlled scientific environment. So I would say to all of our listeners out there, don't jump the gun on this. Let's just wait for some.
Unless they sponsor us, in which case you should absolutely use our link in the description below.
In which case, this episode will be deleted from the internet.
Okay, wait. Have you looked up though if they've done studies?
We don't have fact checkers, obviously. But I'm just throwing this out there, and not even like for this product in general, but just in general. Whenever you hear of claims for products that do these miraculous medical things, be, I think, skeptical and do your research.
Yeah. I would say. I think that goes without. I thought that goes without saying, but also like.
Well, did you guys do your research on this product?
But yes, on myself. I would like yes.
That's exactly what I said to not do. Don't use your own anecdotal evidence. Do research.
Can I tell my experience though? Because I had two wildly different experiences across 2 nights. Realistically, I should have just not drank one day, but I did. I drank a Z-Biotic both days. However, I would say I drank a similar amount of alcohol both days that we were like heavily drinking. The first day though, I also had many cigars. And if any of you reveal the number of cigars that I smoked, I will have to bleep it out. But that day, I felt horrible the next day. I woke up, bad hangover. I felt sick. And I really didn't want to even get out of bed. And I think it's because I was mixing the alcohol and cigars and all this stuff. The second day, I did not smoke cigars and I drank copious amounts of alcohol and I felt great. I felt like I slept like a baby. And honestly, I'm not even going to lie. Throughout the night while we were drinking, I felt like I hadn't been drinking. Like I didn't even feel like I was getting drunk. So I don't know if that's a side effect of Z-Biotics. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. That's not what they advertise, or maybe I was getting served 0% alcohol all day. I don't know.
That's actually the opposite of what they advertise. They specifically say this is not to be used to drink more alcohol.
Well, you know what? Don't listen to me then.
But Jackson, there is actually multiple studies done about Z-Biotics, and that's kind of the whole point of the brand. It's like a science-backed product. Not that I read the science before I bought it, but
yeah, we're gonna have to review those studies.
Effects of rapid recovery on alcohol hangover severity.
Homework.
Genetically engineered bacteria ward off a hangover. But yeah, I don't know. I want to linger on this, Jackson, because I agree with you, but also like how many things do you consume where you haven't like read you haven't there hasn't been studies done on that thing. And also, like, if there has been studies, are you reading all the studies? Are you triangulating the studies? Like,
I actually do think in my personal life, I've noticed this happening recently, is if someone ever says something, or if I ever hear about something and my alarm bells go off and I'm like, that sounds dubious, I will actually look it up. I don't know if I consume many things of dubious, like, scientific quality, mainly because I don't really spend money on things very often. But, I think it's something to consider if you're a consumer.
I would actually push back on your entire statement, Jackson, only because only because, like, I think studies and stuff are fine, and the results of studies are fine, but, like, never are the results of studies that 100% of the time something is accurate. So in my personal opinion, I actually think the personal antidote is more important. Like, if something works for you, then it works, and that's great, and you should continue to use that product. If something doesn't work for you, then again, that's great to know. You shouldn't use the product. You know what I mean? If I were to look at a Z-Biotics study and I saw that 70% of the time it works, but 30% of the time it doesn't, and I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to try this out, and then it doesn't work for me. Like, okay, did the study help me? No, not really.
And that's fine on a personal level. Like, Jerome, you can choose to live your life like that, but I just think, in general, if you apply that logic to a large population, it's kind of a slippery slope.
Yeah, I guess not everyone needs to trial run everything, I guess. I don't know.
I am going to, as the person with actually a doctorate degree, I'm going to flex a little bit here. And I am going to say, I think I agree.
He really threw that PhD in our face there, didn't he?
Yeah, I agree with Jackson more than you, Jerome, in
Dang!
this. Although,
okay. Go ahead.
I will say, Jackson, there is a difference between looking up articles and there is a difference between actually, like, going all the way through the full, like, body of the science. So that's the only thing that I would say. I know you look up a lot of things as well, but
there is. I agree with what you said, Jared. The scientific method is your friend, kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more articles you read is always the better. So I do think, but I also, I guess, Jerome, maybe to come back.
Could you not argue that the scientific method, creating a hypothesis through completion, is being done by me testing it on myself?
Well, what I was going to then come back around and say is that while you should do what Jackson is saying and read through the scientific literature, I also think it's your life, man. Like, try it. Like, I mean, what's the worst that happens? $10,
Fair.
Just maybe if the science isn't there, just make the disclaimer of, like, this worked for me. I've enjoyed this, but I'm not endorsing it as a product.
Fair.
well,
To answer your question, Jerome, I think what you described is a bastardization of the scientific method, with all due respect.
my main gripe was Jackson suggesting that I was touting snake oil, and I had not done my research in my triangulation, because I've done the anecdotal research like Jerome had. And also, when I first heard about this, I did look it up. I did see that there was actual scientific research done with it. I actually tried to find the actual bacteria that they claim, or that's in the product that, does the thing that makes you feel better, because I was just like, okay, it's probably just like a normal, like a standard probiotic or something, and they're just upcharging it with this scientific brand or whatever. And so, yeah, like, I went through that rabbit hole and I tried to find, like, the actual thing and, like, see if there was another product that I could buy that was cheaper. And I couldn't really. Like, I feel like they actually have, like, a proprietary.
How many FBI databases do you think you're on now?
Yeah,
looking up as, like, looking
up bioengineered
It's just
bacteria.
It's like a probiotic. It's like it's not like a
Get him.
scary thing.
Yeah.
I take like a normal probiotic every day.
No. Yeah, that's good. But no, I think we're all in agreement that Jerome is the bad guy here.
Okay, what is the one thing that's different about
Continue
me versus
on.
the three of you?
Well, you told our listeners you're a white man, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I did. Wait, what? Wait, what?
You literally said that.
On to the next one. MADDOX, what else you got?
Let's talk about the CrowdStrike outage. We have to.
Do you have some background on this? Because I don't know what CrowdStrike is, but I know it ruined a lot of things for a lot of people.
Does anyone?
No, I'm saying I don't know what the company is, and I don't know what the company does.
It's
Does anyone want to?
Yeah,
Yeah, go
it's,
ahead.
I mean, it's basically like they do cybersecurity basically for like most, if not like all, like Microsoft based like Windows computers. So, but the difference is that like they're not just like a third party add on like McAfee or whatever. I mean, they are a third party service, but they sit within the critical path of like basic like execution that like your computer runs on. So you can't just like delete the program. It's like a part of like the computer's like functioning. So you have
Like
to like
it's
completely
like pre-downloaded onto every Windows computer, and whenever they put out a patch, it's just there.
Well, yeah, and it's like it's incredibly hard to get it like off. Like you basically like you're not gonna like especially for your work computer, you're not gonna have the privileges to be able to like remove it or fix your
Yeah.
computer. Like you have to have an IT person come and I actually watched like a quick like YouTube video on it because like I knew about it because like our company did get affected by it, and like half of like our people like couldn't. I mean, we don't have that many people who work for us, but like half the people at my work like could not like log on for the first half of the day. Luckily, we've got
National holiday.
yeah,
CrowdStrike Day.
shout out to our IT guy, Todd. He's the man. He got everybody back up and running, but it's like you had to like create like an image of. Or I'm not going to go into the details because I'm going to say something wrong and somebody's going to roast me in the comments. But
Yeah.
it seemed like a very involved process to be able to fix it. And it was, I think it's hilarious because it's like they advertise themselves as like cybersecurity is the people to like stop the threats. But
Yeah.
like some random junior programmer probably
Right.
messed up a line of code and
Right.
shut down the airports and hospitals like across
And
the world.
banks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So that's the background on CrowdStrike. Maddox, what exactly happened here?
I mean, a lot of stuff stopped working. I was just gonna. I was mostly gonna bring it up just because did, like, any of you guys get affected by it?
No, but my office uses most people at my office use a Mac. So I was fine.
Well, I mean, I had people like in the airlines that they got messed up by it. We had like one piece of software that didn't seem to work, but it was a pretty inconsequential piece of software.
Yeah.
But more, I was just like thinking, this kind of stuff just makes me think about like apocalypse.
I will say the
Like-
the one thing that you're absolutely right. The conspiracy theory that I kept hearing was, this is a trial run for November 6th when they're going to steal the election.
Oh my god.
I was like,
I wasn't even thinking
okay.
that.
We're not even
I'm just like-
technologically advanced enough to do
just
online
giving-
voting.
Go ahead, Jackson.
Giving a sort of industry level my opinion on this, because I work in app development, and so I'm used to dealing with cycles of continuous development and testing and patches and hot fixes and whatnot. I gotta say, I think it's pretty, from what I understand, well, my conjecture as to why this sort of bad patch got through that CrowdStrike put out is that they had to put something out quickly and they didn't test it sufficiently.
Yeah.
And, when you do that and you are like you're an integral part of all Microsoft systems, you run a big risk of ruining a large part of the global IT infrastructure. And
Right.
you know what? They did do that. And so I really think, I don't know how you can hold a company like that responsible, but I do think from a business perspective, it is pretty negligent of them to do that as someone who's in the app development world.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see a lot more
Agreed.
like single point of failure, like issues like this pop up. The more that like the world outside of Southwest running Windows 3, but like Southwest was unaffected because they had such old systems. But the more that the world like digitizes, you're gonna see these single points of failures pop up more, and you're gonna start learning these names more. I completely endorse Jackson's conjecture. This feels like they tried to push an update and they hadn't actually tested it. So I don't know the reality, but again, we say we don't talk about facts on here. We just do conjecture. So this feels like
Absolutely.
they pushed something out way before that they should have.
Absolutely. Well, can we earn some more lunch money real quick, boys?
We need to. We got to eat.
Gotta eat.
That cafeteria food's calling my name right now.
Ooh, $3 for
Which,
lunch plus another
we should do that
$1.50
in
if you want to get
recess.
ice cream.
Can we do that in recess? We can talk about our favorite cafeteria meals.
Sure. Okay. This podcast is sponsored by &Collar. &Collar is an affordable men's clothing company where the products are sustainably made with the equivalent of 15 recycled plastic water bottles. Their shirts have 4-way stretch, are machine washable, liquid repellent, and wrinkle and stain resistant. You can go to andcollar.com right now and get 15% off using code 9degrees in all caps. That's code 9degrees for 15% off at checkout. Thanks to &Collar. All right, let's move right into third period with Professor Red. What's going on?
What's up? All right, it's going to be quick. I'm just going to do a little sports recap. A lot going on in the world. We're getting ready for the Olympics. I just want to run through it. Number one thing that personally affected my life, NCAA 28, 25, Jesus. NCAA 25
so
dropped. I know. We're trying
living in the future.
I know, yeah. NCAA 28, amazing game. Now, NCAA 25 dropped. It lived up to the hype. It was outstanding. I can personally endorse it. I know multiple people who can endorse it. So if you haven't bought the game and you are a college football fan, go buy that game. It's worth it.
Wait. Can I interject here? Wait, actually, Maddox, go ahead.
I just want to know. I don't play sports video games.
Mhm.
What makes one sports video game better than the previous version of the sports video game?
Well,
he doesn't know the background. Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
So
tell us in our
this
audience.
is the first NCAA game. Well, it's at least the first NCAA football game released in 11 years.
Oh,
With
Because
all,
of the
So it's
player
not-
likeness and sponsorship issue. So 2014 was the last edition, and in 2014, EA got sued because college players were not allowed to be paid, but they were using their likeness in the video game, and they lost the lawsuit. And so they were forced to stop making the video games because college players cannot be paid for their likeness in a video game. Fast forward to now, college players can be paid by sponsorships and whatever.
Mhm.
Video games back. This was actually what I was going to say. The funnest fact of all of this, because I asked one of our other friends who's very into NCAA sports, and he was saying, I asked the question of how does the NIL deal work for this video game? Because obviously there are like superstar college athletes and there are nobody college athletes. Are the superstars making like millions for their likeness, like how like Madden or like the FIFA video game would do, or is it like no one's getting paid for anything? And this actually is super cool. Apparently, every single NCAA football player in all of collegiate athletics that's in this game got $600 plus a copy of the game for free.
Yeah, and they got like the early version as well. So if you were able to like get on the online servers, there was like a likelihood, like I think like 14,000 players. Or this is where I'm gonna.
It's okay. Just say it.
Yeah.
Just say it.
I think that's the caveat. I think like 14,000 like college athletes got it, and so there's like a possibility that like you could have been using it. Now I'm thinking it was maybe 14,000 people No, I feel like more than 14,000 people pre-ordered it. I feel like it was 700,000 people or something pre-ordered it. But anyways, so you could have been playing with one of the players,
Yeah,
if you pre-ordered it. Regardless, first game in 11
which is really
years,
cool. But like,
yeah. It wasn't, the big fear was that it was
Yep.
going to be a Madden reskin. It's not, it 100% isn't. Madden makes me want to throw my controller out the window. This game makes me think about throwing my controller out the window, but I don't want to do it. So, game dropped. It's great. If you like college football or you like the old games, go for it. It's 100% worth it.
It's
You will thank me later. So, that was the big one. In real sports news, the MLB just had their Hall of Fame elections. Todd Helton. Shout out to people with the last name Helton.
Is that your dad?
No, it's not. But he is from the Knoxville area. Anyways, so he
Nice.
got inducted to the Hall of Fame with Adrian Beltre and Joe Mauer. I think there was one other guy, but those were the three guys
Good
that
time.
I remember watching. So MLB Hall of Fame, good for you guys. Good for you guys. Barry Bonds still isn't in it, so we're coming back around at that eventually. In kind of related news that we've talked about previously on the podcast, in the WNBA, Team WNBA beat Team USA in the All-Star game. It was actually a little bit of an upset, and
Wait.
Yeah.
You mean Team WNBA,
Mhm.
the one that had Caitlin Clark, who got left off of Team USA
that's exactly
because she was a rookie, and
Yep.
now Caitlin Clark's team beat Team USA? That's
Mhm. Yeah. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of other great international players or who didn't make Team USA as well. Like Angel Reese was on Team WNBA. So it was actually kind of a big upset. Kind of showed some of the flaws. Hopefully Team USA gets it figured out and goes and wins gold in the Olympics. But that was kind of a big one.
They should just flip-flop the teams. They should just now take Team WNBA or the eligible players from Team WNBA to the Olympics.
Yeah, I think Agumbake is going to play for a real, country.
Yeah.
But anyways, so now that kind of going back to the Hall of Fame MLB season, coming back after the All-Star break, you can now officially root for the Baltimore Orioles and not feel bad about it. It's the only major sport that's going on. I also want to say no more big sports going on right now until like the fall. I called Spain to win the Euros 2 podcasts back. I said they were going to run it back, and they did. It was outstanding. Loved watching England lose.
Which was crazy because it wasn't even like in the finals, right? It was like group stage or something, and you were like, I'm calling Spain to win. Yeah. And they absolutely won.
It was early. They ran it back. And they had one of the most electric, like, young players who, like, youngest guy to ever score a goal in the Euros, I think.
16 or something like that.
Did you bet on him?
No, I didn't.
Doesn't count then.
I'm here for the purity of the sport. It's out there. It's out there.
It is. That's true. We do have it on the record, so I guess it does count.
Yeah. Can you imagine, MADDOX, at 16 years old, we're both riding the bench for our high school soccer team, and this kid's out here playing professional soccer, getting paid millions and scoring goals, winning his country the gold.
He had an assist, I think, in the final game.
Insane.
So he was actually a net positive.
Is there just no age limit on national teams?
For professional soccer, there's not age limits. If you're good enough, you can play.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well,
is that every professional sport?
You might need to be 15. No. Yeah. Like basketball, you have to be, there's no age limit, but you have to have 1 year in either college or like the G League before you can be pro.
Yeah.
Football, again, no age limit, but you have to have 3 years collegiate. I don't know about baseball.
Baseball, I think you have to graduate high school. I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
So most things are like that, like experience maybe over age. But I think soccer, you can be on a pro team at maybe 15 or 16, something like that.
Yeah. So anyways, the Euros finished up. Copa America also finished up. Messi going out as a champion in Copa America. I don't know if he's going out, but
Wait, did Argentina win?
They did. Yeah.
Nice. Good for them.
It was an extra time. But he got injured and his ankle got messed up.
Was it a broken toe like Conor McGregor?
No, I think it was a little bit more. They like showed a picture of his like swollen ankle, and I was like, "What? Why are you guys showing this picture? Like, we knew he was injured. I don't need to see that." But they did win against Colombia. Game got delayed like an hour and a half because people were crawling through the HVAC.
Oh yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah,
yeah. So that was wild in Miami of all places. Not
right.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. If anywhere that would happen, it would be Miami.
It would be Miami.
Like, come on.
At least anywhere in the U.S.
Not to dunk on the city of Miami, but
I'm perfectly fine with dunking on it. It's going to be underwater in 20 years anyway, so you don't have to worry about
so
it.
literally dunk it.
Literally, yeah. So with all that wrapping up, all that to say, you can now focus on the Orioles as they make their push to the playoffs. So all that to say. And then finally, another one that I've been tracking. So I'm actually like a pretty big McLaren fan. I've told MADDOX that if he wants to get into Formula One, all I say is that he's got to root for McLaren. Huge weekend for them, but it actually was like an insane weekend for them. 1-2 in qualifying, and they won the race. They went 1-2 in the race, which is like a huge turnaround from like where they were last year. But there was controversy. Lando Norris, who is like one of the drivers, like let his teammate through on like one of the last laps because McLaren messed up like the strategy and his teammate wasn't first. And then it was like a whole thing. So it's supposed to be like this great like celebration weekend. And it ended up being this whole thing where like all they were playing were the team radios being like, Lando, you have to let him pass. And he was like, why would I let him pass? Like, you guys messed this up. Yeah. And then like on the third to last lap that he ended up letting him pass. So it was like, and it was this kid's like first victory, Oscar Pistorius, or not Pistorius. I keep doing that. Oscar Piastri. Absolutely not Pistorius. It was like his first win, which is like a huge thing in Formula One, but it's muddied because of all this like controversy that went on. But anyways, huge weekend for McLaren. Hopefully they figure it out. But that is the sports recap. I'm playing NCAA 28. I'm watching McLaren go 1-2 in Formula One, and I'm calling Euro champions left and right. So watch out 2 years from now.
Hey, listen, next time you should put some money on it.
I will put $5 on it.
Yeah. Hey, you would have gotten $15 for me. Okay. Well, let's move right into fourth period with Professor Jackson. What's going on? What do you want to talk about today, Jackson?
All right. So one of my the things I enjoy doing and following in life is strategy games. And one of the hottest strategy games, like competitive strategy games right now, is poker. Actually, speaking of sports betting, which we were just talking about.
All right.
The World Series of Poker, which is the big sort of summer premiere event in Las Vegas, tons of events, tons of tournaments and cash prizes, has just wrapped up, and it sort of set records this year. The main event, it had over 10,000 entrants, and it's a $10,000 buy-in, so that's over.
Oh snap!
Someone do the math on that.
10 million.
$100 million plus in entry fees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, must be.
So yeah, $10 million for first place. I think a $94 million prize pool.
Wow.
So it was a huge spectacle. Really big. It really demonstrates that poker is a very booming sport. It had a big boom. I've been watching poker for actually 20 years. If you're our age or a little older, maybe.
Wait. Pause.
What?
You've been watching poker for 20 years. You're 28 years old. You've been watching poker since you were 8 years old?
Yeah.
I actually believe
it was on. What I was about to say is, if you're our age or a little older, it was always on rerun on ESPN. Poker was huge in the mid 2000s.
I will also, to validate Jackson's claim, I had a World Series of Poker video game for the original Xbox that I played all the time. I'm with Jackson. I know exactly what he's talking about. It was a huge thing in the 2000s.
I'll stand down.
Yeah. So it's booming, but also there's a little bit of controversy at this year's main event. When it got down to the final two players, so heads up, they're playing for $10 million. Second place gets $6 million. So they're playing for basically $4 million, which is huge stakes. There was a controversy where during play, what was happening is one of the players who's like a high level professional, and he had a team of like professional poker player coaches. What they were doing is, it wasn't during the hands, but it was like his team on the rail, on the sidelines, they had like, AI solvers. So, think AI poker solvers, which is, think of like, if you play chess, it's like engines in chess. They tell you what the ideal optimal best play is.
Yeah.
And so, they had that running for past hands that had happened.
That's essentially counting cards, no? That's literally counting cards, right?
No, that is not what that is. It's saying, it's giving you an idea. Let me, I don't want to like dive so deep in this, but basically what they were doing is they were looking at the history of the heads up play and getting ideal ideas of like, what hands should you be playing? How much should you be betting? When should you be calling? When should you be folding? That kind of thing for previous hands. And they were using that to tell their boy in the match, okay, this is how you need to be playing here. Yeah, Maddox, do you have a question?
Yeah. So please educate me on this. But I was kind of under the impression that in poker, like at the professional level, pretty much like poker players were as good as an AI would be, but where their edge comes in is like under like knowing when to bluff and that type of thing. Like it's like the behavioral part of poker, not the actual like numbers part that an AI would be able to use the data from. I don't know if that's accurate or not. That was just kind of my interpretation or my understanding.
So it's actually kind of coincidental. I just read a book. It's called 7 Games. Let me look up the author of it. I'll look up the author in a second. But it's called 7 Games, and it talks about AI and different strategy games. So it's actually pretty topical that this controversy is happening now. But yeah, Maddox, I think that is a bit like 10 years old information. I think AI in poker and also in other strategy games has really rapidly progressed and is now, if you have a poker playing AI playing against a human, it's going to win in money in the long run. And that's kind of where we're at with AI and poker. So yeah, but the controversy is coming where there's a lot of people out there who are watching in this and they're sort of outraged because they think you shouldn't be able to use AI while a match is in progress. He wasn't using it while playing, but he was getting consultation and like coaching from it in between hands.
That's
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And so there was a big controversy with people saying that shouldn't be allowed and that should be banned. So, I mean, but I guess I'll throw it out to everyone. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I was going to ask right now, is that illegal or that's perfectly legal?
So it's kind of that people have pointed to rules in the tournament, in the World Series of Poker tournament. They've also pointed to laws which are sort of vague and aren't really specific in the Nevada Gaming Commission, which that usually carries criminal charges if it's violated, but the problem is the World Series of Poker and the Nevada Gaming Commission aren't making any statements on this. And I think the reason why is because they know that they messed up in not shutting it down during the tournament.
Yeah.
And so now they're trying to if they say, oh, that shouldn't have been allowed, then they're basically admitting their own fault.
Right.
So is the using the AI on the data from the previous hands, is that giving any more information to the player than if they were just to kind of use just generalized poker hand data
and strategy? Or my answer to that is probably it probably gives an edge, but it probably is so small that it's just insignificant, and actually it's kind of counterable in a way, because if the other player had switched up his strategy, then all of a sudden your past data from an hour ago is no longer good. So, there's ways you can exploit this, and that's kind of what poker is. It's a bunch of exploitation.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to just completely say, if it's not against it, if there's not a rule specifically against it, and I understand it's more of a bleeding edge strategy, I say go for it. This seems like one of those where it's ban it if you don't like it now, but I'm not going to criticize the guy for finding a loophole. And kind of to your point, Jackson, I could see where it wouldn't be the most helpful thing anyways. So who ended up winning?
The guy who was using the AI. Won. That's the reason why it's a controversy.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say it's free game. I say close the loophole, but don't punish the guy for finding a way that helped him.
But yeah, to your point though, if everyone was using the AI and coaching themselves, then it would just essentially negate the usage of it, right?
Yeah. The big controversy is that he was using it during actual play, and he was using data from while the play was happening.
Right.
So from an hour ago, basically, and using that to inform his decisions. Now, when you look at the community as a whole, almost all poker players use solvers to help them train and get better. And it's that, I mentioned chess earlier, a lot of chess players, myself included, they use chess engines to help inform their decisions about how to play openings, or to sort of study past games and be oh, this is what move should have been played. So, I mean, what do you guys think about in general, just competitive human-based games, the advent of AI sort of creating a new dynamic in that sort of sector?
I personally think it's cool. I think it's making even the people that are already at the top tier, it's kind of making them get better, right?
Yeah. I think one of the philosophical arguments around AI and strategy games is just that there was a lot of talk, maybe 10, 20 years ago, when it was sort of first coming onto the scene, was that it would sort of kill the competitiveness of games, because, if you knew what the correct answer was, then suddenly the game is not interesting anymore.
Right.
But I think actually that hasn't actually come to fruition. And as MADDOX was saying, you're starting to see people change the way they play and sort of learn from AI. And that's actually creating a resurgence and a sort of a newfound sort of path for you to explore playing these games.
Yeah, I was going to say specifically in what you were saying, Jackson, with chess, I think the thing that's most interesting to me in chess is AI playing AI. Having the engines compete against each other because I like what the best like engines are a higher elo than any like ranked player, right? So I actually find, or I had read an article like a year ago at this point, so I don't really remember what it was saying, but it felt like the theme of it was like the actual like engines are finding new and creative ways that people hadn't really thought about before. So it's making people rethink the game, which is causing like this resurgence that you're talking about. So I actually, the in-game stuff, I don't know, but seeing AI play each other, causing people to be more creative, I support that all.
All right, yeah. So, just one of the many, we love to talk about AI on this show. And so this is something that's sort of a personal interest of mine. And yeah, if you want to learn more about it, you can read 7 Games, A Human History by Oliver Roeder.
Good rec.
I read it. I think it's pretty good. If you don't know much about the topic, I think it's a very good introductory book.
I will read it.
Nice. Well, should we move into our final segment of the show? Everybody's favorite, Recess. This is our segment where we talk about the funniest and dumbest memes on the internet that came across our feed this week from Twitter, Reddit, etc. I think we should talk about the most prominent one so far, right now. And it has to do with an announcement that happened yesterday as of recording today. Was it yesterday or this morning? It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
This tweet. Okay. So something that happened yesterday is President Joe Biden announced that he was going to be dropping out of the race for president. Do we have thoughts about that to begin with? Do we want to get into that before we get into this tweet?
Honestly, impressed he did it, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I felt like he was just going to run through this, but honestly, kudos to him because he's getting old, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely showed.
The man needs some retirement.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm not informed politically by any means, but have we even? Is it even determined yet who's going to be running in his place?
Not officially, but he has endorsed a candidate. Yes.
Is it Kamala Harris?
Yes.
Okay. I personally think just from a pure optics perspective, the idea of her running versus Trump just gets me it feels like there's more excitement around that than Joe Biden versus Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just
okay.
I agree.
Does anyone else feel that?
What I heard was you wanted a lively young black woman beat up on an old white man versus 2 senior citizens going at it. That's what I heard.
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of exactly what I'm saying.
Yep.
No, but seriously, just from a very just if we're gonna have these binary options anyway, why not have some more distinct binary options?
Yeah.
Why have just 2 old white men when you it's okay.
Who should be practicing their golf game?
That's me being done talking about politics.
Well, on that point though, that is exactly what this tweet about. Jackson, this was your submission. Also, if you want to submit your own funny findings for Recess, make sure to join the Discord, the classroom, and you can post things in there. But Jackson, do you want to read this tweet out?
Yeah. So my friend, she was asking me last night, who do you think is going to be the VP pick? And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's got to be a man. So this tweet actually offers a great VP candidate. So it says it's probably going to be a white man, which makes sense because Kamala Harris is not a white man. It needs to be someone with experience, specifically executive experience would be good because Kamala Harris, it comes from the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be someone who has won elections before because everyone loves a winner. Someone who's been in Congress, has connections in Congress, and also someone who's comfortable serving under a black president. We've got the perfect candidate. Joe Biden, VP nominee.
This is so funny. I said this before the podcast, but it's she has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever, which is make Joe Biden her vice president. That would be so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That gets me.
That'd be great, honestly. I'd love to see it. I think that'd be hilarious. I think it's not even a horrible thing. Well, it's kind of a horrible thing, but I think it would be hilarious.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's 0% chance this happens.
On that note, MADDOX, you got a radio comment or something that happened?
It's a little activity. Do we have time for it, or do we want to save it for another episode?
We got time. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So I just heard this on the radio today, so I just thought we could do it. We all have to go onto our Amazon accounts.
Oh god.
Oh god.
We have to find our last purchase on Amazon, and then
I don't want to do this.
we have to see who would survive with that item. Who would survive an apocalypse?
Okay. All right. I've got mine.
Got mine.
Hold on.
Oh, got mine.
Just the top one, or can we make it like the top three?
I guess we could do top 3 if we want to make it more interesting.
No. Let's do top one. Let's do top one. Who wants to start? I think I actually have a really good one.
Okay, well then we'll save you for later. I can tell you what mine is because I'm dying like day one. I bought a Clorox toilet wand refills.
Just the refills.
Just
Not
the
even
refills.
the wand.
Not even the wand. I just bought refills. That's all I
Hey,
got.
but if zombies were coming at you, you could potentially like throw it at their eyes and maybe it'll like explode or something.
No, dude, it's the ones that you get like to clean like the
Oh,
toilet
no.
bowl. It's literally a sponge.
Oh,
I have a
no.
sponge. That's all I have.
Damn, you're
Yeah, I'm out.
fucked.
I'm dead.
You're
I'm
screwed.
dead.
You're screwed. Jackson, you think you got
my-
something that could beat mine?
My last purchase, it could be good to win by default. It was a pair of tennis shoes.
Ooh, outrun.
That's pretty solid.
Okay.
Specifically for playing tennis, so good on a flat surface, you know.
Okay.
Not bad.
That's a good one.
Mine was a kink-resistant pressure washer hose.
What?
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Pressure
Oh,
washer
sorry.
hose
Gotcha.
that designed not to get knotted up.
Yeah. Kink
I had
a
to
misleading or
kink
misleading
for
word.
Got it.
dramatic effect.
Yeah, it's
But
a water hose
I-
that's very vanilla.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's actually a pretty good one. You could probably like choke some zombies out with that one.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Or,
unless
like,
that's their kink.
I could make whips.
You could.
Unless that's their
Okay.
kink.
Yeah, probably better to not be close quarters, I think.
Yeah,
I like the whips idea.
True.
Or I could.
I actually,
if I had another person, we could do that trick when when we were kids and we like you pretend like you're
Oh.
pulling something across the road to like in
Oh
front of
my
the cars.
God.
but you don't
Yeah,
need a
like a
hose
string.
for that.
Well, we would actually trip them.
Oh.
We'd just
So
lay it on the
tripwire?
ground, and then when they come running through as a mob, you pull it up, and then they all trip and fall.
Okay. Okay. I think Maddox's probably beats mine, but mine was a tripod, like a camera tripod. But I
That's
feel
pretty-
like tripods are kind of heavy. You could just
pretty
swing that
beefy.
thing around, you know?
Pretty beefy.
Yeah.
And is
So-
it a long one
A
too?
bit unwieldy.
Oh,
I think.
Yeah.
I only handle long ones.
We've gotten off the rails a little bit.
It's getting late, boys.
Yeah.
9
It
p.m.
It is. Wait. Should we talk about, before we get out of here, should we talk about our favorite cafeteria meals that Maddox brought up earlier?
Yeah, if we really, I feel like we need to. We have to at this point.
We have to, because you mentioned
Yeah.
it. I've got one specifically. The cafeteria spicy chicken sandwiches with smiley fries.
Smiley fries.
That was fire.
That's the first one that came to my mind. I'm not gonna like lock it in, but since it's the first one that came to my mind, I feel like it's
Chicken sandwich or the smiley fries?
the chicken sandwich and the smiley fries specifically.
Yeah.
that was
We're on the. That's
I-
the one I'm locking in.
I will say the cheese sticks. The Bosco
Yeah.
cheese sticks.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's
I
mine.
didn't-
That's mine, dog.
I hated the Bosco cheese stick. I don't like cheese
so
sticks
good.
in general though. So
I never ate lunch in grade school, so I'm gonna go to college. Think like nicer college dining hall.
Okay.
I used to get like the pre-made, the pre-made sandwiches, and they were pretty nice sandwiches. I would get the Italian sandwich.
Sounds good.
So yeah,
So the high school equivalent would be like Uncrustables, probably.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm curious. Did Jerome? We're the only two here that went to the same university, but
Yeah.
Did I don't remember having pre-made sandwiches. Did you?
I don't know about pre-made sandwiches, but there was definitely like a sandwich bar. We used to stack up hella lunch meats on bread at the sandwich bar. Maybe Jackson's University just had someone standing there making them like sandwiches.
I mean,
you know?
yeah, this sounds nice. I feel like I'm missing out.
Were they
I
like
feel-
made to order, Jackson? Because like UT, they had a panini station, like a self-made panini station.
No, they made a pre-made set of sandwiches. and you could
Nice.
ask for whatever sandwich you wanted.
On the go.
Nice.
Do they have that at Alabama,
Yeah.
Jared?
Not that I can remember, but there were a couple different places that you'd be like, well, like the football team, they had like their own cafeteria,
Bro.
and
Yeah,
those guys
same.
like they would get lobsters and steak,
Yeah,
and like
Same.
you could go on like you could go like one day a week, and usually you would go like Friday, like the like brunch like time, and you could get some thick waffles. I mean, you could get a great brunch meal.
Ooh,
So-
speaking of brunch, the high school like half day brunches that they would do,
Mm.
also good.
Yeah, those were good.
Very good.
What about you,
wait,
Maddox?
Jackson, before we go to Maddox real quick, Jackson, just question for you. What was your high school lunch if you just brought lunch every day?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you ever sat at lunch with me, you would know. Throughout from like first grade till 12th grade, I would bring every day, and this for the whole time, I would bring a fruit roll up, a banana, a thermos full of milk, and some assorted snack pack that would change depending on what year it was.
Wait, so
Sometimes
you
it was
you're like the big part of your meal was a banana. Like there was no
Milk.
Forgot
like
the milk.
main.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, the milk, yeah,
it
sure.
was the milk.
But there was no like main. You just had a bunch of sides.
yeah, sure. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
that's not really
I
how I
was-
thought of lunch.
I was just curious. I was just curious.
I also was a very picky eater when I was like until I went to college, so I kind of needed that
That's
for my
crazy.
own mental.
Well,
you
good
know?
for you, man. Good for you. I actually think the craziest part about that story is the fact that you ate the exact same meal for 12 years straight.
It was like if you know me since first grade, you would know that it was literally the exact same
Yeah.
all the way
Wow.
until we graduated.
Also, shout out to your mom because it sounds like it was a cheap meal. You know,
Mhm.
saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm out here spending $3 on lunch plus the $1.50 on the cookie plus $1.50 at break to buy like a chicken biscuit or whatever.
Jerome, this is
plus
why
maybe
you can't
another
afford a
$1.50 on
house.
ice cream. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Jackson, did your parents ever try to convince you to like take something different, or were they just happy that you knew what you wanted?
No. I mean, maybe early on, but like they knew I was a picky eater, and they knew what would happen if they tried to redo that. So
They knew the
I don't think I want to
consequences.
know what would happen.
they knew me well. They knew me better. So you know.
Nice.
All right. Well, to round it out, Maddox, what was your favorite high school lunch meal?
I was kind of with you on the chicken sandwich and the smiley fries. The only other one I can think of is why can't I like we had so many like
PCO day every single Friday.
Mhm.
I
pizza
mean,
corn
I
okra.
remember that one.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was never my favorite.
Chicken
you-
nuggets were fine.
I was gonna say I like chicken nuggets. The mini corn dogs.
Yeah,
You guys remember those?
and they
the
would serve it with
nachos?
like nacho cheese.
Yeah, that
yeah,
one was pretty fire.
Yeah.
yeah.
I might lock in that one.
Wow, our lunch was so
I just like
unhealthy,
want
huh?
to go eat at a cafeteria now. Honestly,
yeah,
like,
I don't know what it's like nowadays. I remember the worst day of my life was when they switched from white bread rolls to the whole wheat rolls.
oh, the Salisbury steak day. You guys, the steak
I
and
do remember
gravy.
Yeah, and every once in a while you'd get a little
Mashed
piece of
potatoes.
aluminum like in your teeth.
I think
We
that
don't
was
talk
just
about
you.
that.
Well, I would just love that the Salisbury steaks they would have burgers the day before, and then
And
the
then
next
the
day
next
they would
day,
just put
yeah.
burgers
Gravy on
in
it.
gravy. Yeah, and that was it. That was
Hey
the
man, it
meal.
was good stuff. It was good
Yeah,
stuff.
it was good. It was good. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching the episode. As always, if you want to interact with us, the professors, we've said it multiple times in this episode, come and join the classroom on Discord. You can talk to us as the current events are happening live. The link will be down below. And make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/JeromeVaz, to watch the video version of the podcast. We've also got Instagram, TikTok, both at 9 Degrees Pod. So make sure to check those out. Thank you guys for watching the episode. And class is now dismissed.
Peace.